Hi folks, welcome to session number 6 of my Blender training. I'm using Blender 2.56a beta from the blender.org website. Okay, so in this session we are going to learn about creating a flower pot model and also leaf sort of things. Okay, also learn about using layers to organize your scene, right? So and then finally learn how to create groups. Okay, to see example, let me add this flower pot group. Okay, so I have this here, and I can basically move this into a separate layer. Okay, let me move it to layer 1. Okay, and then I can create duplicates of this group. So say duplicate, shift Z. Okay, and then scale it down, right? G and shift Z, and then okay, so so basically create libraries of objects. Okay, so we'll just keep it to modeling for this time. In the subsequent classes, learn how to shade these objects. Okay, so this exercise will be built upon in the following exercises. Okay, so let's get started. Yeah, so let me launch a new instance of Blender. Now for this part of the tutorial I'll be using some add-ons. Okay, so let's enable those add-ons. Add-ons are nothing but Python scripts written by users. So in your user preferences dialog, you have this add-ons tab, and let's go to the 3D view tab and enable the 3D navigation add-on. You'll notice that this add-on will appear in the view 3D toolbar. So this is the tool shelf or the toolbar. So let me check this, and then when I go to the tool shelf and just scroll with the mouse, so you'll see there's a 3D view add-on. Okay, if I don't want it, I can just uncheck and then it goes off. Okay, so let's turn this on and save as default. Okay, so that next time when I launch Blender it'll show up here. So save as default. So that's one thing I'm gonna use, and also I'll turn on the metric system of unit display. Okay, so basically when you turn this on, you see it displays meters. And now if I go to the top view, go to the orthographic view. Okay, now as I scroll in, right, or zoom in, you'll see okay, now Blender is displaying units in steps of 10 centimeters. So this is like 1 meter, this box is 1 meter, and then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 through 100 centimeters. Okay, and if I zoom in further, okay, now Blender is displaying centimeters. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 10 centimeters. And then I can go on to millimeters, so on, so forth. All right. So let me just open a new scene. Okay. So I have it enabled, right? Now let's start creating the flower pot geometry. Okay. So let me select inverse. Okay, and hide these objects. Okay, hide selected, and let me go to the top view. Okay, and go to the orthographic view. So now I'll be using this default cube in my scene as a reference object. Okay, so let's check out its properties. In fact, let's go back to the perspective view. Okay, and select the cube and open the properties panel, N key. Yeah, so in the properties panel you'll see the transform properties of this object. So the location is at the origin, no rotations, and scale is at 1, and then the dimensions of the object. So dimension is basically the x dimension is the width of the object, and y dimension is the depth of the object, and z dimension is the height of the object. Okay, so as I change these values, the scale property of the object is changed. Okay, so let's keep it at 2. Okay, so again, this is my reference object. Let me move it 1 meter in the z axis. Okay, and move it to the side. Right, now my flower pot, right, let's go to front ortho. My flower pot uh, should be around 1 meter in height. Okay, 1 meter in height, and maybe about 75 centimeters in width. So let's get started with creating the flower pot. So let me add a new mesh. Okay, and go to the edit mode, right, and make sure all the vertices are selected. Okay, so I just middle click dragged to go into the 3D view. So you'll see all the 4 vertices are selected, right. Let's delete them. View a mesh and delete vertices. Okay, now I'll be creating the profile of the flower pot, okay, in the front view. So let's go to the front view, and I'm in the front ortho view, right, and I must make sure my 3D cursor is at the center of the world. Okay, so to move the 3D cursor to center of the world, you can just go to the properties panel and right click, reset all to default values, or the hotkey is shift C. Okay, so shift C will move the 3D cursor to the center of the world and also frame all the objects. Okay, so I'm just zooming in. Okay, so that's my 1 meter. Okay, now we need to generate the profile of the flower pot, right? So make sure you're in the edit mode, and like in last class we need to start creating vertices. So let me control and left click. Okay, I have this vertex. I'll turn off the manipulator. Okay, so this vertex is having these uh, location properties. So I'll move it to the uh, the center of the world. Okay, 0 0 on 0. So there's a vertex over here. Okay, uh, just press the G key and move the mouse to make sure it's selected. Okay, also remember here it displays for the current selected object how many vertices are there and how many are selected, right. So let's extrude this vertex. Okay, so press the E key. Okay, you'll notice there is something going on, but you don't see the vertex. That's because it should be in the wireframe mode. Okay, oh, that's weird. Okay, so when I press the E key for the vertex was created at the same location. Okay, so I had to press escape and then press the G key, okay, to move the vertex. All right, sorry about that. Now let's start creating the profile. So like this, and okay, so that's my reference cube over there. Let's start creating this profile. So okay, so basically E extrude and move the mouse. Okay, E extrude, move the mouse, and at any time if you want to zoom to a vertex, you can just say select the vertex and view selected. I mapped this view selected to the Q key, like right click, and you can change shortcut, okay, anytime. So escape, so Q. Okay, all right, so extrude and extrude a few more times. Okay. Okay, and I'll just scale these up. I think it's fine. Yeah, it's about meter in height. Okay, so now that the profile is done, so let's select all the vertices. Okay, select all. um, Also, if you go back to the object mode, okay, you can see the dimensions of this object. Okay, the object's height is about 1 meter, and the x dimension is about 28 centimeters, okay, on one side. After we spin it, we'll get the whole object. So let's select this profile, go to the edit mode, and switch to the top view, right? You'll notice the vertices, right, are not in the along the x-axis. There is some movement in the y-axis, so let's fix that. um, so let me select deselect by pressing the A key, and press the B key for the border select. Okay, and you'll see the y dimensions, right? So let's try giving a value of 0. Okay, so all of them are on the x-axis now. Great. And deselect and select all again by pressing the A key. Right, now we can use the spin tool. So since we are in the edit mode, the tool shelf displays the mesh tools. So click on spin. Now spin is an operator. Okay, so the operator has default properties. So as you can see, the default properties are 9 steps, okay, and 90 degrees. And okay, now as long as you do not do any other operation like scale, rotate, the operator's properties stay there. Okay, you can also access these properties by pressing the F6 key. Okay, F6 key. So now let's change the number of degrees. I want the spin to happen in 360 degrees. There you go. And let me go into the orthographic view. Okay, and the number of steps, right? Number of steps, I'll keep it at maybe 6. Okay, well, maybe, yeah, let's keep it 8. Okay, all right. So that's that. Now one thing is this profile, right? This profile got repeated twice. So there are vertices, that occupy the same locations as the profile curves. So we need to remove the duplicates. So select all the vertices by pressing the A key twice, and let's press the space bar and type remove doubles. So remove doubles is a mesh operator. It removes duplicate vertices, okay, that are very close to each other. So click remove doubles, and you'll see that 22 vertices have been deleted. Okay, now this threshold value controls how close vertices should be so that they can be merged. Okay, so this is basically the minimum distance between merged vertices. Okay, so if you increase this value, more vertices will get deleted. You can see it in the viewport. So as I increase this value, more vertices are being merged. Okay, so let's keep it at its default value. Oh, that didn't work. Let me just undo this. Okay, so that's the remove doubles operator. There are few bugs in 2.56 beta, so just be aware of it. You can also invoke this remove doubles operator by invoking the specials menu, which can be accessed using the W key. Okay, so there you go, remove doubles. So okay, I removed the vertices. Because I did a undo, I had to remove doubles again. Okay, so all is well. Okay, let's switch to the solid mode. Okay, and to the front view. One thing, you can zoom the interface. Okay, so right now the I feel the buttons are too big. So so I can just hold down the control key and click the middle mouse button, and you can see that I can zoom the interface elements. Okay, so just control and middle mouse. Okay, so that's pretty neat. So since I'm recording, I'll keep it a little large. Right, so now I have this flower pot object. Let me name it. Okay, all right, now you may want to adjust some of its form, so you can do that either in the edit mode. Okay, just move each vertex around, or a better way is to go into the sculpt mode. Okay, enable symmetric sculpting, right, and basically choose a grab brush. Okay, radius. To increase the radius, you can use the F key. Okay, so the value changes, so F key, and you can start moving these vertices around. Okay, so something like this. Okay, this is a neat way of sculpting your meshes to give them some form. Okay, I'll just keep it at this. Maybe switch to the right side and give it some more form over here. Okay, like this. All right, cool. So again, front view. All right, so let's get out of this mode and switch to the perspective. Yeah, now let's add a modifier. So before I do that, let me save my file. Okay, so session 6. Okay, I'll name it like this. Now let's add a modifier. Now you can add modifiers from the interface directly, or space key and say type add modifier. Okay, and you get this menu. I'll add a subdivision surface. Now I go to the modifier properties. Okay, let me hide the properties panel, N key and T key to hide the tool shelf, and there you go. I can increase the number of. Okay, maybe I'll just give it some more form on the x-axis. Sculpt mode, T key to again access this, and just move it. All right. Okay. Um, cool. So back to object mode, and you can smooth the mesh out. Again, I can use the shade smooth operator. Okay, and you can say shade flat operator. Okay, these operators are invoked when you click these buttons. So that's the thing in 2.5. Okay, is with the concept of operators, they can be called directly from the user interface using the search menu. They can be attached to buttons, or they can be invoked from Python programming scripts. All right, so let's smooth it out. Perfect. So that's our flower pot. Yeah. Uh, let's quickly do a render. Add mesh. So let's add a ground plane. Scale it up by pressing the S key. Okay. Um, turn on the camera. Okay, our camera is here, and switch to the camera view, and Shift F to access the fly mode. We have learned all this in the previous sessions. Okay, so and my lamp is let's go to the top view. lamp is over here. Okay, so that's fine. Switch back to the camera and render. Okay, all right, so escape to get back. Now I have this flower pot object. Right, now let's learn about layers. Okay, I want to move this flower pot object to another layer, so I can do that from the object properties menu. So now this tells me this object appears in layer number 1. Okay, I can click this, and now this object will appear in layer number 3. Okay, and so these are the layer buttons. Okay, it tells me in the current layer is layer number 1, and there are few objects in there. That's why you see this dot. And then in layer number 3 there is an object. So if I click this, there you go, that's my object. Okay, all right, now let's create the flower petals or leaf geometry. Okay, uh, let's look at the dimensions of this flower pot. So the height is around 1 meter, and the width is around 58 centimeters, and the depth is around 53 centimeters. So accordingly I can model my leaf. So I'll model the leaves in the second layer. Okay, so click this to go to the second layer, switch to the top view and ortho. Okay, shift middle mouse to pan the view. Right, make sure the 3D cursor is at the world origin. Okay, now it's time to create the leaf. Okay, so okay, I move to zoom to the 10 centimeter level. Yeah, let's add a new object. Okay, go to the edit mode and delete the vertices. Okay, now we'll be creating the profile of the leaf. Okay, so I'm in the top ortho view. Right, let me go to the wireframe mode. Right, and control click to create a vertex. Yeah, this time I'll be creating uh, a symmetric profile. Okay, in the positive X and Y axis, so this quadrant, and then I'll mirror it over to the negative Y axis. Okay, so let's quickly do that. I'll move this vertex G key and move the mouse and place it here. Okay, same thing, you can either control click. Okay, just control click to add vertices. Okay, like this. I can adjust, and maybe one more. Right, you can say let me delete this vertex. I'll show you one more option. So X vertex, and then select these vertices and F to make a face. Okay, now I can add a vertex in the middle of this. Okay, by subdividing this edge. Okay, so W for the specials menu and click subdivide, or I can type the subdivide option. Okay, so it gives me one vertex in the middle of this edge. Okay, so let me move this. Okay, now this is my profile. Yeah, now let's select all the vertices. I can use the border select B key, select all the vertices. Okay, and then invoke the mirror tool. Okay, the hotkey is Control M. Okay, this is the interactive mirror. So click, and you'll see in the 3D view header it says select a mirror axis XYZ. I want to mirror in the Y direction. Okay, now before we can do the mirror, right? okay, we need to set up a few things. Okay, so let's escape to exit the mirror mode. Okay, so there are two things we need to do. First is change the pivot point to 3D cursor, because our mirror uses the 3D cursor as a pivot to reflect, and we need to duplicate these vertices. Okay, so right now I just have one set of vertices, so I need to select them and uh, duplicate them. Yeah, so I get this and press escape. Okay, then invoke the mirror tool. Okay, space and mirror, and then press the Y key so that you get it in this direction. Okay, so left click to add it. Perfect. Okay, now we need to start creating the form. So let's select these edges, these vertices, and press the F key. Okay, again we've learned these hotkeys in the last session. So T to hide the tool shelf and N to hide the properties. And okay, that's that. Now we need to add another set of edges in the center of this geometry. To do that, let's select these vertices and W and subdivide. Okay, now I want to create vertices that are aligned with these vertices. Okay, to easily do that, we'll make use of the snap tools. Okay, and snap to vertex. Okay, so now it's very easy to create the string of edges on the x-axis, and with the vertices aligned to these over here. So select this middle vertex, press the E key, move the mouse, and then X to constrain in the X direction, and then move the mouse to the vertex, okay, that should be used as a snap target. So now you see that this vertex that I'm moving will be snapped to the X location of this vertex. Okay, so E X and click, E X and click, E X and click. Okay, so it's very easy. And let's extrude one more time. EX, click. Okay, now let's select these three. Okay, and view tool shelf and perspective. Okay, now my camera view moved. Okay, so I'll say view and view selected. Okay, you'll notice one thing, that as I try to zoom in closer, the 3D view is getting clipped. So let's change that from the view properties. The clip start is at 10 centimeters. I'll make it 1 mm, and then I can zoom in very close. Okay, great. So let's hide this and let me save this just in case. File, save as. Okay, record to, save. Okay, let me just extrude this. Better go to the front view and E, go to the ortho. Okay, E one more time. Okay, so deselect, border select these vertices. Okay, three vertices are selected, and just move it. Okay, now we are ready to create more definition for this leaf. Okay, so to do that, let's start filling in the edges. Okay, so select F, select F. Okay, and let's use the proportional editing tool, okay, to inset this vertex down. Okay, let me turn off the snapping, turn on proportional editing connected mode. Okay, we learned about this in the last class, and move the mouse. Okay, the circle, the influence circle, right, is pretty big, and you'll also notice the influence circle for proportional editing uses the 3D cursor. as pivot, so I need to switch back my pivot. So escape, change it to the median point, and then okay, now I am moving just the center edge. Press the Z key to constrain. Okay, so now I have some profile for the leaf. Okay, so let's join these edges to make faces like we did in last class. So let me choose the edge select mode. Okay, and multiple select edge and vertex select mode by shift clicking, and okay, it's just select these edges, shift select these edges and press F, shift select F. Now I can go to the solid mode. Okay, so it's pretty easy. F, F. So by manually creating, right, we can control the topology. Okay, I can do automatic filling like from here, select all vertices and fill, but that may not give you proper results, so I'm doing it the manual way. Okay, so you can say view selected. Alright, F, almost done. Let's view selected. Alright, almost done. Oops. Okay, it's always good to check the normals of the mesh because we manually generated it. So let's switch to the properties panel, collapse these and turn on face normals. Okay, you'll notice that all the normals are pointing downwards. Okay, I want them to point upwards, and also let's say just 5 mm. Yeah, maybe just 2 mm. So select all the vertices A and A, or you can use this menu item, and oops, normal. Okay, so we'll use flip normals. Okay, so you'll notice all the normals are pointing upwards now. Yeah, cool. And let's use the specials menu, W, and change the shading to flat for now. So shade flat. Okay, and go back to the object mode. Okay, so that's what you have created so far. Okay, now it's time to give some thickness to our um, leaf. Okay, so to do that we will use the solidify modifier. Okay, you can go here and add a solidify modifier. Now the solidify modifier is using a thickness of 1 centimeter. That's too much, so let's give it 2 mm. Even that is too much. Okay, so like 0.5 mm. Okay, okay, 0.35 mm. Okay, I'll choose this value. I'm happy with it. Okay, so what this does is it basically adds a thickness. Okay, we still have just one set of vertices at the top. It gives you this additional thickness. Okay, now I want to have access to the bottom set of vertices also. To do that, you need to apply the modifier. Okay, once you apply the modifier and go back to the edit mode, now I get the bottom set of vertices as well. Okay, so that's the solidify modifier. For this example, I'm applying it. So let's turn off the faces. All the normal seems to be fine. Okay, great. So let's go back to the object mode. Now let's compare the size of this leaf with our flower pot. Okay, I'm Control S to save. So hold on the shift key and click on layer number 3. Okay, okay, you'll notice the leaf is very small compared to this. So let's scale it up. Okay, now I'm scaling up in the object mode. Okay, scaling up in the object mode. So and my scaling happens around the center of the object. So S. Okay, so that's my scale. Okay. Okay, if you clear the scale, like if I say right click and reset all, it will go back to its default values. Okay, if I want to apply the scale, right, if I want to apply the scale of this object, I need to say apply scale operator. Okay, so now the scale has been reassigned to 111, and that's our dimension of a leaf object. Okay, another way of scaling is to get into the edit mode and selecting all the vertices and scaling them. Now scaling happens around the median point, then I have to go to the 3D cursor and scale it. Okay, so let me leave it at this for now. Okay, let's switch back to the leaf layer. Okay, and to the solid mode and add a subdivision surface modifier. Okay, you'll notice the thickness of the leaf, right, has diminished because we need to add one more loop. So let's go to the object mode, edit mode, I'm sorry, and we need to add a edge loop over here. Okay, so deselect all, control R and add a edge loop. Okay, and go back to object mode. Yeah, and smooth it out. Okay, now we have more thickness and shade smooth. The search menu is very useful. Yeah, so okay, that's not bad. Okay, if you want more definition in the center of the leaf, you can add edge loops, right? So so right now it's very smooth in the center, so I can just add a loop here. Okay, if you want fine increments of movement, hold on the shift key. Okay, so like this, and okay, now I have some indentation. One more loop over here, shift key to constrain the movement. Okay, 0.97, and I have this. Okay, I'm recording. Okay, so okay, so that's looking good. Maybe I'll just edge slide. So to invoke the edge slide, use Control E. Okay, and edge slide. Okay, Alt and right click to select the edge loop and Control E for edge slide. It was looking very sharp, so I'm just fixing it. Okay, okay, that's better. Cool. Now it's time to add a curve deform so that I can model my leaf. Okay, so let's go to the top view on ortho. Yeah, save my file, Control S, and switch to the wireframe mode. Yeah, and now let's add a curve object. So add and curve, and let's use a path. Okay, you may not see this option over here because I've enabled the add-on. Add-ons have this icon like a plug, but let's choose the path. Okay, now you'll notice that the path has been added. Now this is a curve object, Bezier curve. It has 5 control vertices. So I can press, select the vertex and move the vertex. So escape to cancel the operation, or the right mouse button. Okay, so I want to scale these vertices so that they fit the leaf. Okay, so I'm selecting all the vertices. Okay, select all the vertices, and first move them along the x-axis. Oops, the x-axis, so that the first vertex is at the origin of the leaf. Okay, G and X, something like this. Okay, and then I'll switch to the cursor mode. Okay, and then scale all of them like this so that it fit the leaf, and do a view selected. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, cool. So let me name this object as leaf control. Okay, dot one, and I'll name this as leaf dot one. Okay, cool, and save the file. Now for the leaf object, I'll be adding a curve deform modifier and point the leaf control to it. Okay, the reason I model my leaf along the positive x-axis is the deformation by default happens along the x-axis. Okay, now let's select the curve. Okay, switch back to the solid mode by pressing the Z key, and for this curve object I'll turn on X-ray so I can always see it, right? And now let's start moving this curve object, and there you go, we can shape our leaf now. Okay, now these control points also have different attributes. Scale, so Alt S, and you can, oops, let's switch back to the median point, and Alt S, so you can control the size of it. And it also has a tilt operation, so Control T for tilt. Okay, you can also access them using the operator. Okay, tilt, and okay, yeah, cool. So I'm not going to make any changes yet because I'll duplicate these objects. Okay, so let me select the leaf and the leaf control, go back to the top view, and per ortho, select the leaf and shift select the path control. Now say duplicate. Okay, I'm creating copies, not linked copies. Okay, so duplicate and press the R key and rotate. Okay, remember the origin of the leaf and the origin of the leaf control is at the world center, so that keeps things consistent. Okay, so let's duplicate again. Okay, Alt and oops, select and Shift D. Okay, and press the R key to rotate. Yeah, cool. So we have maybe one more. Shift D, R. Okay, let's go here and rotate it. Okay, like this. Cool. So that's about this. Now you have individual control of each of these leaves. So basically when you duplicated these objects, they, okay, the modifiers were, you know, created for each of these leaves. And okay, so let's sculpt this, edit, and I can move it like this. Okay, and edit mode, exit by tab key, and tab key to go into edit mode, and maybe do something like this. Okay, Alt S to scale it maybe. Okay, so it's a pretty neat technique. Okay, okay, maybe I'll do a tilt like this. Okay, so I have this. Now let me create a group out of this configuration. Okay, so let's select all of these, border select, yeah, and let's create a group. Okay, so let's create a new group. The hotkey is Control G. Okay, and I'll say leaf config 1. Okay, so that's my leaf configuration. Okay, now all these objects, right, if you go to their object properties under the groups, you will see, okay, um, they belong to the group leaf config 1. Okay, so this leaf belongs to leaf config 1, and the curve also belongs to leaf config 1. Okay, so if you want to select all the objects that belong to a group, okay, so you can select the object and go to select group of the same group. Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's save this. Now the neat thing is, okay, let's go back to our flower pot. Okay, now that I have a group, okay, you can access that group from here. Okay, leaf config, and boom, what happened is it created a empty object. Okay, and for that empty object it instantiated the leaf config 1 uh, objects. Okay, now I can place this, okay, G and Z, and place this over here. Okay, okay, cool. And I can change the properties of this empty, go to the empty data and maybe change it into plane axis and say 10 mm. Okay, uh, maybe 20 mm. Okay, cool. Now I can in turn select this flower pot, okay, and then this leaf config 1, okay, and create another group. Okay, I'll name this flower pot type 1. Cool. So I basically have okay, now this leaf config 1 object belongs to the group called flower pot type 1, and the flower pot also belongs to flower pot type 1. Okay, now I can create multiple flower pots. So let's go back to layer number 1. Okay, and switch to perspective. Okay, save the file and add group instance flower pot type 1. There you go. Now this whole thing is a unit. Okay, I can scale it. Okay, if I want a bigger flower pot, so just scale it and move it in the y-axis. Add one more instance of this. Okay, maybe scale it down, G and Y, click, and I can also just duplicate this. Okay, so that's about creating groups. Okay, now let me quickly show you uh, like editing the actual leaves and see them update in the viewport. Yeah, so let's switch off the properties and tool shelf, and you'll notice that all the layers, right, are here. Okay, and right now the layers are logged, so let me just click this, create another viewport, so click and drag. Okay, now in this 3D view I see layer 1, in this 3D view also layer 1, but I'll switch to layer 2. Okay, cool. Now see what happens. Okay, I select this curve, edit mode, and as I move the leaf, okay, all of them are getting changed at the same time. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. Okay, again we'll be using this model for learning more concepts in the upcoming classes. Okay, so go through this exercise and create your own variations. Okay, it need not be just like this. Okay, and yeah, that's about it. See you in the next class. Thank you.